Hi everybody, Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. So I recently applied for two credit cards on the same day, the Chase Freedom and the US Bank Altitude Reserve. And the purpose of this video is to explain both why I decided to do that and what happened when I applied for two credit cards on the same day, both in terms of the process, did it work, how did it affect my credit score, etc. So I'll start by giving some rationale as to why I did this. So the reasons why I wanted both cards. In my previous video, I talked about my last opportunity to get a Chase card. It was my last available card in my 524 slot. And that's why I wanted the Chase Freedom, to get the sign-up bonus. I was able to get a referral from my wife for an extra large sign-up bonus for Freedom standards. And I want to be able to take advantage of those rotating 5% categories in the future. As it relates to the US Bank Altitude Reserve, I felt like after doing some research, for me as not a frequent traveler, but sort of an intermittent, occasional traveler, there's lots of ways to take advantage of it with their real-time rewards, and the 3% earnings on mobile wallet and travel. It has primary car rental, it has global entry or TSA pre-check credit, which will be my first time getting either of those. So just a lot of advantages, and I'll go into more details in a future video, maybe multiple future videos about the US Bank Altitude Reserve. But the problem in wanting to apply for both of these cards was twofold. First of all, the AR, the Altitude Reserve, is known as being hard to qualify for. You have to have an existing relationship with US Bank. Now, fortunately, I've been with US Bank since I was a kid, and I've had one of their credit cards, a different credit card of theirs, for over 10 years. When I say I've been with them since I was a kid, the town I grew up in had a local bank called Union Bank and Trust Company that was later bought out by First Star, that later became US Bank. So I've literally been with US Bank, kind of, sort of, almost my entire life, and had a very small checking account with them. Some places say you need over a 750 credit score. Some things I read online say that US Bank pulls from obscure credit bureaus, not just the main three. So there can be some hurdles to getting approved from what I've heard. Secondly, the Chase Freedom needed to come first, because if I applied for the Altitude Reserve first, it would take over my last Chase 524 slot, which is not what I wanted. But if I get the Chase Freedom before the US Bank Altitude Reserve, that adds to my number of credit lines on my credit report, which Altitude Reserve and US Bank frowns upon. Although Altitude Reserve, US Bank doesn't have a hard and fast 524 type rule, kind of what I'm hearing out there is if you've had more than 6 credit card applications in the last 12 months, maybe 24 months, that hurts your chances of applying. And I've had 4 personal cards and 2 business cards and a car loan in the last 24 months. So I was wondering if I would get approved or not. The solution I came up with, and not that this guarantees approval, was to apply for both cards at the same time, and hopefully they won't know about each other until I'm already approved. Now, because of the 524 rule, I had to have the Chase Freedom first. So I would set it up so on one day, and this is what I did recently, on the same day, within minutes of each other, I would apply for the Chase Freedom, and then as soon as possible, hopefully seconds later, apply for the US Bank Altitude Reserve. Now, coming into the process, this is what my credit scores looked like. Experian, I was at 740. Equifax, I was at 744. TransUnion, I was at 758. Now, the reason why TransUnion seemed so much higher than the other two, I believe, is because the credit cards that I had applied for 4 personal and 2 business, in the 18 or so months leading up to this, they had all pulled credit from either Experian or Equifax, or in some cases both, but only a couple took their inquiry from TransUnion. And then also when I got a car loan in the summer of 2019, I had multiple pulls that all went to Experian. So Experian was the lowest. And what I wanted to do coming into this dual pull day was do a security freeze on my Experian so they wouldn't pull from there. Basically, I was hoping I could force the credit bureaus to pull from Equifax and or TransUnion. Hearing that some credit cards pull 2 bureaus, I thought that was the way to go. So I tried that, and unfortunately with Experian, they said we are unable to honor your request to place a security freeze. And then they said you would have to physically mail in a bunch of information with my social, date of birth, state ID card, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. This was right before I was going to go on vacation, and I just didn't want to mess with it. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to risk it. Chase has been approving me so far for everything I've applied for. And with the Altitude Reserve, I'm hoping US Bank will heavily lean on the fact that I've had a banking relationship with them for more than 25 years and a credit card with them for about 10 years. So I videotaped myself on the day that I applied for both. So now we're going to go back in time and watch the exact moment that I applied for 2 credit cards within just a few moments of each other. Roll that footage. All right, I'm ready to apply for 2 different credit cards at the same time. I've got Chase Freedom going here, which is a referral from my wife. Here's the actual application. And then over here, I've got the US Bank Altitude Reserve all ready to go. I'm already a US Bank customer. So this is my last Chase 524 slot. So I definitely want the Chase one to go through. So I'm going to click for Chase here with the Freedom, make sure it goes through. And then once it does, then I'll go over and click US Bank. If it doesn't get approved right away, I'm going to bail out. So, I'm so nervous. Here we go. Verifying my information. Come on, Han, old buddy, don't fail me now. Douglas, you're approved. All right, I'm approved. So quickly we go over here to US Bank and we hit submit. I don't know why the background is flashing. I'm just going to roll with it. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Oh, come on. Worst timing ever. No. All right, so good news. I got approved for the Chase Freedom. This is the screen that says I'm approved, $3,100 credit line. And then I also got approved for the US Bank Altitude Reserve here. It says, thank you for choosing us. Your US Bank Altitude Reserve Infinite Visa card and account information are on their way to you and should arrive in the next few days. Now, unfortunately, and you kind of saw this, the computer had a technical issue when I was like trying to do my hurry up and apply. So I had to close the window, reopen it. And then like I was reapplying as fast as I could. I think I got everything right. It took me about 90 seconds. And here's what popped up. I just did a quick screen capture that they accepted my offer. So that was awesome. Let me take a deep breath. Heart racing. So yeah, super happy to be approved. Here's the Chase Freedom card, just showing that I really did get it. And here's the US Bank Altitude Reserve card. I was super happy to get approved for this because I got approved for it just in time to get it delivered to me right before we took a family vacation for about a week. And this card really came in handy. I found a lot of good uses for it while also starting to work towards the minimum spend to get the bonus on it. As for the Freedom, I've already met the minimum spend because I bought 1 prescription before our deductible was covered. So that one's taken care of. In terms of the credit reports, honestly, it worked out just about as perfectly as it could have. So here's my activity alert from Discover showing JP Morgan Chase Bank did an inquiry and it went to Equifax. And US Bank put their inquiry on TransUnion, which is, it couldn't have got any better. So whether I got lucky or whether US Bank always pulls from TransUnion, I don't know. Would I have gotten approved if they'd pulled from Equifax or from Experian at US Bank? Who knows? But whether I got lucky, whether it was skill, whether it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, who knows? But I'm super happy to be approved for both of these cards. Let's take a look at how it affected my credit score as kind of a post log here. So here's my Credit Karma report looking at Equifax. Now, they don't use the exact score, so it may not be exactly right. It uses modeling. But coming into it, I was 745. And once I had the 2 pulls, it dropped down to 736. So my credit score dropped 9 points doing the 2 pulls in one day on Equifax. TransUnion, I came in at 756 and it dropped down to 750. So it had a 6-point drop. It's since recovered by 1 point since that time. So a little bit of damage to the credit score doing 2 hard inquiries in one day, getting 2 new lines of credit or credit things in one very short period. But that's okay. You know, I had seen earlier when I had applied for a different credit card a few months back, from the time I applied until I got an email with a Credit Karma report saying, hey, there's a new inquiry on one of your credit bureaus, was 6 minutes. So my theory was it took 6 minutes to get that report to the credit bureau, for Credit Karma to process it, and then for that email to come to me. Now, of that whole 6 minutes, how much time do you really have to apply for a credit card between when you submit the first app and when you submit the second app without company 2 knowing about company 1? I don't know what it is. I can't even say for sure that US Bank didn't know about the Chase Freedom application. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I believe there was only about 90 seconds to 2 minutes between 2 applications, partially because of those technical difficulties that you saw. So I don't think US Bank was aware of my application with the Chase Freedom. So if that's the case, if my speculation is correct, then it worked. So maybe that's something you would consider. If you think videos like this are helpful, please subscribe to the channel and please smash the thumbs up button. It really does help this video be found by the YouTube algorithm. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Was this a good idea for me to do this? Was it a terrible idea? Come on, keyboard warriors, put comments down below and let me know if you'd like to see videos like this in the future, including if you'd like to hear more about the US Bank Altitude Reserve, because there's not a whole lot of videos out there on that particular card. Thanks for watching.